Jay-Z and Gloria Estefan denying new claims they witnessed a man being abused at one of Sean Diddy Combs' freak-off parties.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna probably be arresting me, people from all walks of life. Jay-Z talking to, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on.
A lot of times people say things because they don't want to get themselves in a PR disaster. It can't be, write a check.
I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out, I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way you represent the idea of going to these projects.
I got something. Because it seems to be like the last year and a half, there's been all this talk about these Hollywood parties.
Let's talk about it.
Amber, what's really going on?
I don't know.
You ain't never been invited to these Hollywood parties?
I've been to probably every one.
The lights inside the Manhattan courtroom didn't flicker. They burned steadily. But everything else felt like it's coming undone. Sean Diddy Combs sat at the defendant's table, but he never looked like the music mogul who once ruled the charts. His skin was pale, his collar open, his hands trembling each time he reached for his water. And the most telling observation? He didn't look at the crowd even once. And that's when it happened. A lawyer mentioned Jay-Z's name, not once but twice. Then a pause. And across the aisle, someone leaned in and whispered the line that everyone heard but no one wanted to repeat out loud. "I'm done covering for you." And what followed next said everything. The question now is, how long can Hollywood as a whole stay quiet before the kings start turning on each other? Because this Diddy trial is shaking more than just tables. It's shaking the very foundations of the industry.
I could not believe what I was hearing.
Oh, God.
As for Jay-Z, his rep tells ET he wasn't in Florida at that time to witness this incident. He was engaged in easily findable public activities that prove he was not at this event, adding, "This is more nonsense that erodes the trust in our justice."
Puff party. I've been to every white party since 2009. I've been to every party, and
You go in the right room, not the wrong room.
I don't think there's rooms, Chad. I'm gonna be honest. Now look, I'm gonna be very, very transparent on the show. If these freak-offs are happening, it's on a completely different day than the actual Puff parties.
Okay.
It's not that day because every time I was there, Puff was there the whole time. You know, he got the Ciroc, he's on the DJ booth. He's the host of the party.
On Club Shay Shay back in early 2024, Cat Williams leaned forward and told Shannon Sharpe something strange. He said he turned down an invite to one of Diddy's infamous parties, but it wasn't just any rejection. He claimed it came with a price tag, a $50 million offer. The comedian laughed, sipped his drink, and called it a virgin hole contract.
Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. In Hollywood, you never fucking expected. They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking at all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room. Nick, come here. Why you think I speak with such clarity? I'm actually involved in each one of these stories I told you about.
Most people laughed with him. The internet ran with memes. It felt like typical Cat. Unfiltered, bizarre, maybe a little exaggerated. But now, inside that courtroom, the joke feels more like a warning, and it's echoing back like a prophecy. When Cat's name came up during cross-examination, something cracked in Diddy. It was subtle, but the ones watching closely saw it. He fidgeted, his shoulders shifted, his attorney leaned over. Diddy whispered something quickly and reached for his water, but his hand shook enough to make the glass rattle against the table. The judge noticed, so did the jury, even the sketch artist's nerves. This was recognition. Something in what Cat said, about those parties, about that price, hit too close to home. The loudest man in comedy might have just delivered the quietest truth in court.
That alleged freak-off reportedly happened in 2015 at both Gloria and husband Emilio Estefan's Miami mansion and Diddy's.
The rhythm is gonna get you.
That's where a new accuser claims he was sexually assaulted and humiliated by Diddy. And he says Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Gloria all witnessed his abuse, but allegedly did nothing.
Yeah, let's skip over that.
Okay. I don't like it at all.
Gloria and Emilio denying the claims, telling ET there were no parties thrown at that property between 2012 and 2019. The couple says they have documents to back their denial and will provide them in court if necessary.
For years, Jay-Z and Diddy stood side by side, at parties, in boardrooms, on stage. Their friendship was untouchable. Or so it seemed. But now the whispers are getting louder. One phrase keeps circulating online, tied to anonymous court leaks and overheard conversations from the hallway. "I'm done covering for you." No cameras caught it, no microphones picked it up, but enough people inside claim they heard it, and when it hit the internet, it exploded like a lit match in a dry room. What does covering mean exactly? Some believe it refers to parties, ones where phones were taken, NDAs signed, and things happened that never made it past the gates. Others think it's about business. Money moved around, names kept clean. But whatever it means, one thing is clear: Jay-Z is stepping back. And for Diddy, that may be the biggest blow of all, because when the man who helped build the image walks away, what's left but the truth?
Of, in particular, Netflix docuseries that you've been working on, Diddy Do It.
Right.
You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character.
Right.
Yet you said you weren't a part of that lifestyle, you weren't going to the parties. So what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true?
Well, I'm surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like, I didn't make the allegations, I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out, I see it in the news like everyone else, but I did feel uncomfortable with the way you represent the idea of going to these projects.
Once the word freak-offs echoed through the courtroom like a curse, no one moved, not even the sketch artist. All eyes were fixed on the witness stand, where a former House staffer stood, sweating through his shirt collar. He was trembling as he described them, not just parties, but dark rituals dressed in velvet and champagne. Phones were locked in padded cases. Guests were told to be open-minded. The lights would dim, music would start, and pills, sometimes unlabeled, were passed like candy. Diddy called it freedom, but inside those rooms, it looked more like control. One woman remembered Star Island during Ultra Week, house music pounding until 7 a.m., bodies half-conscious, someone vomiting into a crystal vase. Diddy in the middle of it, calm, smiling. Cameras flashed, not the press, but hidden ones, watching. There was a photo booth, one said, but it was a lie. You stepped in for a selfie, but the mirror was a lens. That's when they really started filming. The courtroom was cold, but it suddenly felt hotter than hell. This wasn't sex. This was a system, and everyone knows it now. The lights dimmed slightly. A flat screen flickered to life. Then the hallway video began. There was no music, just grainy hotel footage from 2016. A woman in a hoodie, Diddy right behind her. He kicks, she falls. He drags her like luggage, she scrambles. He throws something, she vanishes around the corner.
Yeah, and then that swayed me away from it, just that alone.
So you didn't realize
as much stuff was coming. Like when I seen today, it was allegations of 3 men that said he drugged them, and it's a long time, to be honest with you. Like when people don't remember being violated for 20 years, it makes me feel a little hard.
What are your thoughts on the allegations against Jay-Z?
That was interesting. When I was saying things, not knowing exactly what I was saying, but I was going with like, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. Like while the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also. You know, so I hope it works out, because with his family, the things that go on internally is that those accusations are crazy.
Back in the courtroom, jaws dropped. No one had to ask who she was. It was Cassie. Diddy didn't blink, didn't twitch, just stared at the screen, face pale. His fingers tapped the table, then stopped. His lawyer leaned in. He didn't respond. CNN leaked the tape hours later, but for those in the room, the damage was already done. The myth of the mogul had cracked right in front of them. This wasn't old drama, this was proof, and it played out in real time. Victim 3. That's what they called her. No name, just a number. The court waited. Her chair stayed empty. Whispers rippled through the room. The prosecutor stood. "We've lost contact," she said, her voice tight. The judge frowned. The defense perked up, scenting weakness. But everyone else knew what that silence meant.
A lot of times people say things because they don't want to get themselves in a PR disaster. They can't be, write a check.
The new claims come months after a woman dropped a lawsuit against Jay-Z alleging he raped her 15 years ago. The rap mogul has denied her claims and is now suing her for defamation.
Was she scared? Paid off hiding? No one knew for sure, but what people did know, that she was real, that she had told them things that matched every other witness, lingered like smoke, a missing puzzle piece just out of reach. Diddy's team tried to downplay it, but the timing was too strange, too sharp, and the gallery just stared at the empty seat, wondering if she'd ever make it back. But guess what? Just when the jury thought that would be all the shock for the day, something else began festering from underneath.
In here, Charles here. So, Diddy defense is raising an interesting series of points that all seem to go to try, I don't want to even use the word justify, but to explain some of the brutality Cassie suffered at Diddy's hands.
And one of those possibilities for an explanation is bipolar disorder, because Diddy's own defense attorney raised this while questioning Cassie this morning.
During jury prep, a list leaked, and it wasn't just random names. Kanye West, Usher, Justin Bieber, Kid Cudi, even Michael B. Jordan. Not as suspects, but as names tied to Diddy's parties, his events, his silence. Twitter exploded. One post read, "How many photos do we need before someone admits the guest list wasn't clean?" Jay-Z's name was there too, Beyonce's. Conspiracy? Maybe. But here's what shook people. So many of these stars were there, in photos, in videos, smiling at the same couches now tied to those tunnel stories. Nobody's saying they're guilty, but nobody's saying a word at all. And sometimes silence sounds like agreement. You zoom out, and it starts to look less like a coincidence and more like a web. And Diddy, he's the spider in the middle of it. You wouldn't recognize him now.
This morning, and infers that there has been a diagnosis, though that's never affirmed by anything Cassie says or the attorney. So
it's interesting because Diddy's not going to take the stand. So then the question is, how are they going to get that out there? Right. So that's kind of interesting in itself.
So Anna Esteval was questioning Cassie about her meetings with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and makes a reference, says, "Didn't you tell them that you thought it might have been his bipolar disorder?" She's talking about in 2018, they went out to dinner. Remember, they were broken up already.
The man once wrapped in white suits and champagne bubbles is sitting in Brooklyn's MDC wearing government gray and asking for toilet breaks. Diddy doesn't run the room anymore. Guards do. Time does. He's not calling the shots. He's waiting for them. And even here, with walls all around him, he's allegedly breaking rules. Prosecutors say he's using other inmates' IDs to call people he's not supposed to. Three-way calls, hidden contacts, desperate moves. The same man who once controlled every entrance and exit in his mansion, now caught sneaking through prison phone lines like a scared kid trying to hide the smell of smoke after a fire. The fall isn't slow, it's free fall.
To instead being the architect of those free calls, willing and eager to play a part in them. The jurors were shown more than 100 emails and texts between Cassie and Diddy, and they read along on big monitors, but Cassie didn't read along on the monitors. She was told by Diddy's defense lawyer she had to read along out loud. She had to read all the very dirty, kinky, steamy text messages out there for everybody in the courtroom to hear. And trust me when I say they are not safe for work. You almost worry about your broadcast license, honestly, with some of this stuff. So here we go, get the kids out of the room.
1 year ago, he was still being toasted in boardrooms. Now, he's being warned by a CO for talking too long. If you ever wondered what happens when a king loses his castle, this is it. Dear viewers, let's not forget how this all started. Not with a raid, not with an expose, not even with a podcast. It started with a woman, Cassie Ventura. A woman who was once passed around as an accessory. A name people whispered but never protected. A girl who smiled on red carpets while hiding bruises under diamonds.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010. And I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out.
Cassie Ventura's lawsuit cracked the ceiling, and inside it, a decade of silence. Pills, control, cameras, pain disguised as luxury. And the worst part? Nobody seemed surprised. Within weeks of her story, 63 more surfaced. Some came with names, some just with tears. But every one of them carried the same shape: power wrapped around the throat of someone weaker. Diddy said she was bitter, that she was looking for attention, but the world had already started listening. Cassie didn't just speak for herself. She opened a door that others were too scared to knock on. Now the hallways behind that door are filled with footsteps, and the kingdom he built is crumbling into questions. Who knew? How long and how many never made it out of that tunnel?